Hello everyone, my name is Jessie Ammons, and I am the Education Librarian here at UW Oshkosh. Today I'm going to give you a few tips for finding laws, statutes, and/or cases, as well as credible analysis about them. Legal research can be intimidating, but hopefully this video will make it a little bit easier. It's also important to remember that you're not using these resources as a lawyer or a paralegal, so you're not expected to know all the ins and outs of the legal research world. However, we do expect that you will research responsibly from credible sources, and that does not include AI. Your first step is choosing cases or topics for your assignments. I want to caution you that there are some cases and/or laws that might be too difficult because they're too recent or local. News articles cannot be your only source for these assignments, so be careful with your choice. Being a bit flexible with your topic as you search might help you in the long run, as you may need to change topics if you can't find enough. To get some ideas, there are a few things you can try. You probably already have a topic that maybe you've dealt with in your professional life, or you can take some time looking over landmark cases in Wisconsin or the country. Some of the databases I'll be showing you can also be helpful when you're looking for topics, which I'll discuss as I cover each. Before we get into the specifics of each database, I want to quickly review primary versus secondary sources with you. When doing legal research, primary sources are the actual text of the cases or law. Sometimes these are harder to find than you'd think. If you choose an obscure case, the only way to get the actual case documents may be through special websites or archives, and sometimes you'll have to pay for the documents. Of the databases that I'm going to show you, Westlaw and Hein Online are the two that have primary source documents, though I recommend mostly Westlaw for case documents. Secondary sources will probably make up the majority of your research. These are usually analysis, news reports, and explanation of cases or laws and their repercussions on the education systems. I'm going to talk about 4 main library databases for this video: Westlaw, Hein Online, ERIC, and Academic Search Complete. You have access to all 4 of these through Polk Library. Each database helps with different aspects of this type of research, which I'll go over. To find each of these databases, you can go to the Polk Library website and click on the Resources by Name page. There is a long list of all of our databases, and you'll find each of them in alphabetical order. A few that I'm showing you are also on the short list when you hover over the same button rather than click. You will need to sign in with your NetID and password to access. Let's start with Westlaw. Westlaw is usually a good first step because you can find the full text of case law, statutes, regulations, etc. In the search bar, type in the name or the number assigned to the case. On the drop-down menu on the right, you can indicate which courts, states, or jurisdiction the case is in. Make sure that you pay close attention to what the drop-down box says each time you search, because if you've changed it, you may be limiting your results without realizing it the next time. Unfortunately, the search can be a bit clunky, and sometimes it doesn't bring up the case even with the name. Don't give up and assume it's not there if you can't find it. In these cases, try finding the legal citation. You can usually find it with a quick Google search of the name and citation next to it. A citation is usually a few numbers and abbreviations that are a sort of code as to what court it came from and other information. For example, here's the citation for the Supreme Court case Kennedy v. Bremerton School District. If you're having trouble getting the right court case, using the advanced search might be helpful. You can also try different combinations of keywords related to the case or names. This one took us directly to the case, but let's see what happens when I just type in the name. If you get a list of results like this, you may actually find the case on the list more than once. That can be for a variety of reasons. Usually your best bet is to prioritize the most recent case unless you are specifically looking at a lower court ruling. Let's look at the Kennedy v. Bremerton School District case. The page that shows up first is the Document tab, which is the case itself. If you scroll down, you'll see the headnotes, which give you help understanding the important legal issues brought up in this case. On the right, you'll see Brief It, which will give you a concise summary of the case. Next to the Document tab, you'll see Filings, which comprise the trial court documents that you can look through, though of course these are full of legal jargon. The Negative Treatment tab shows any negative history of the case. This is more important for attorneys, but just so you know, this refers to other cases that have either challenged or overturned the case you are looking up, or if they refer to it in a negative way. The red flags you'll occasionally see next to some cases also show this. Attorneys use this feature to distinguish which cases to use for precedent and which to avoid. The History tab shows how the case moved through the courts. The Citing Reference tab shows you other cases that have cited this specific case. Table of Authorities provides a list of cases that this specific case cited. Much of this content will not be useful to you, but it's good to at least know what you're looking at. Now, if you're not sure what case you want to focus on, Westlaw can also be helpful for searching topics, as I mentioned earlier. For example, you could go in and search state materials here. Let's choose Wisconsin. And just browse through some of the regulations, cases, and bills, etc. Practice areas shows different areas of law practice, but they do not currently have one on here that's specific to education law. But basically you can just go in and search through a little bit and browse if you want here. But you could also use the search bar to search keywords that you're interested in. For example, I'll do social media and schools. Again, check the drop-down box on the right to make sure you're looking where you want to. I'll keep it to federal, which searches all of these. But if you want to look specifically in Wisconsin or other states, obviously you can choose that here. And there you'll see different cases, statutes, regulations, briefs, and even some secondary sources that use the term social media and school or schools. So let's say I'm interested in this one from Georgia. Then I can just look through the documents here. Obviously, there is a lot more to look at on Westlaw, but it's mostly, again, for lawyers arguing cases or writing briefs. You can find more in-depth tutorials for using Westlaw if you search on Google or YouTube. Let's try a search for the same case in Hein Online, which is another legal database. Similarly to Westlaw, I'll use the name of the case as the keywords first. And you can see the results here. Make sure you pay close attention to where the information is from. And most of these are going to be secondary sources. You'll usually see more results than you would get in Westlaw. This is because it pulls from many legal journals and law review type publications. You will see a lot more analysis of the cases in Hein. Just click on the title to see the documents. You can download them as PDFs, print them, email them to yourself, or create a permanent link to the page if you want to come back to this document later. Unfortunately, there are some documents that we don't subscribe to that you will still see on the result list. You can take these out by using the filters here. Under Availability, just choose Full Text Only. Take a look at the other filters as well, as you might find them useful. Whatever filters you choose to use, make sure that you choose Apply or they will not show up on the search. The last databases that I want to cover are the EBSCO databases ERIC and Academic Search Complete. I'm mentioning these together because you can search them both at once. Let me show you how. From the UW Oshkosh Library's website, hover over Resources by Name and select Academic Search Complete from the top. Now, click here where it says Academic Search Complete, and you'll see a complete list of the EBSCO databases that we subscribe to. This is not all of our databases, these are just the EBSCO ones. Find ERIC on the list and check the box next to it. I didn't mention this one earlier, but you can also choose Education Source on the list as well. Make sure to click Select on the bottom right, and now you will be searching all three of these databases at once. In these databases, you can also search by the name of the case, to see if any results show up. But you can also search by keywords. Although you could do that in Westlaw and Heinlaw Online as well, EBSCO databases are more effective with keyword searches. Let's try a quick sample search. After I put in the name of the case, I'll try putting another keyword in the second box. Because I know this case is related to religion, I might try that in my search here. Or if there's a specific angle on a case that you would like to see more analysis of, you could use whatever keyword there. Let's just look at this search for now. From here, you can choose the search filters if you like. You can filter for peer-reviewed text only or specify source type and publication dates. Obviously, since this is a somewhat recent court case, we'll most likely only see results from the last few years or so. Once you've found an article that you wish to read, click on the title. From here, you can see information like the abstract, subject terms, information you would need for the citation, and you can access the journal article. You may see some overlap in the articles in these databases and the ones that we've already searched. These databases, however, are also very good for finding cases or topic areas for your assignments. I'll try social media, or you might have noticed these options popping up here where it gives you terms with or in between. If you haven't done any searching on any databases before, this is the best way to search in any library database. You would put or in between similar words or synonyms. So I'm indicating that I would want articles with any of these topics. And then when you see the and in between, you want the databases to search for articles that have both something in this box and something in this box. So let's say I wanted to look up mental health and I'm going to specify schools or education or K-12. If you haven't searched like this before, you may get a little confused by it at first, and that is completely understandable. I can always help you through that if you meet with me one-on-one, or you can just use one search box or one term per search box. Now I need to add a row because I want to specify court cases or rulings or legislation. And I might even indicate that I'm specifying United States. And here I can just browse through and see if it gives me any ideas. Now, none of these are specific court case titles like you would have seen in Hein Online and Westlaw, but they may reference court cases that you might want to look into. Now, I want to highlight two specific free websites that are credible and can be helpful. If you've been doing Google searches for cases, these may have already come up in your results. The first is OYE, which is a free project created by Cornell's Legal Information Institute and Chicago-Kent College of Law. It will only be helpful if the case you're looking at is a Supreme Court case, as it is an archive of all recorded audio from Supreme Court cases. The second is WEX, also provided for free by Cornell's Legal Information Institute. It is essentially a legal dictionary and encyclopedia. When you search for it in Google, make sure that you type in WEX Legal, as there are other WEX websites. The URL is law.cornell.edu/WEX. You can browse terms here or search for a specific term here. Otherwise, your best free sources of information will be congress.gov and any other similar federal websites, in addition to the Wisconsin State Legislature website, which you can find easily through Google. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about finding credible sources. We're all very used to using Google, Siri, Alexa, other types of search engines, and now maybe even AI to find answers that we need on a quick daily basis. You may feel confident that you're able to navigate and find good resources based on your good judgment and past experience. For this class and many of your other graduate classes, you need to be very careful when using these types of sources. Reporting on laws and cases really varies in quality depending on the source. Local news reports often get things wrong for this type of information and sometimes don't correct the information. Students in the past have used blogs as a resource, and those just are not a great resource unless you fact check all their information with another place. Unfortunately, there have even been cases of junior lawyers using AI to put together case briefs for their senior lawyers. One such case in Australia caused a major uproar. AI has some helpful uses like brainstorming and helping you gather your thoughts, but for research, it often makes up false citations and fabricates information, which we call hallucinations. As you have probably found for yourself, AI currently has many limitations, and it often parrots back what you want to hear. It is in no way a substitute for good library databases or critical thinking. If or when you do use Google, make sure that you're fact checking all of your information with other credible sources. Hopefully, this video will help you acclimate to the basics of researching these complex cases and legislation. If you need any assistance, please feel free to email me at ammonsj@uwash.edu. I'm available to meet in person or virtually as well. Good luck with your research!